Alright, let's see here. How to brew beer. First, you have your ingredients. You can optionally add some flavorants, and then you take the action. And that's it. Seems legit. Okay, so if you thought Homebrewers was going to be another dry resource conversion game where you're taking like 12 different resources and putting them through some sort of machine in order to get some craft beer that's its own type of commodity that can be bought, sold, traded, you got another thing coming. No, this is like craft beer role-playing where you're going to be equipping different flavors, gaining experience, and competing to become the ultimate craft brew champion! And so, today on the Cardboard Herald, we're taking a look at the prototype for Homebrewers, which I should remind you that all of the mechanics as well as components, while they look awful nice, are subject to change. So with that said, let's check it out. Homebrewers is a competitive game for 2 to 5 players lasting over 8 rounds. The structure of the game is simple, where each round players roll action dice, can freely trade those dice with other players, then in turn order players execute their actions. The actions do things like allowing you to pick up or play often delicious and sometimes terrible flavor cards, either for a one-time benefit or equipping like an enchanted artifact on one of your beer recipes. Just think bacon and hazelnut rather than swords and crossbows. You can also get ingredients for your recipes, use the actions that correspond to the current round, and yes, brew beer, giving you experience and renown in the hearts of beer lovers everywhere, activating all the buffs equipped to that beer and raising you a number of levels on that recipe's track. The brewing action requires that you have ingredients in the different beers that you want to brew with. So when you brew with, say, ale here, you take the ingredient and you flip it over and it becomes a gross little unsanitary token inside of your garage. The more of these that you have, the less potent that your beer is, the less experience points you gain when you brew with that type of beer, which brings us to the last action, which is cleaning. And when you use the cleaning action, you can remove one of these tokens. The cleaner your garage, the better your beer, the more experience you gain. Like your mom always said, clean up after yourself. This is all in service of gaining points, which are awarded at Summerfest and Oktoberfest at the end of the 4th and 8th round. Players receive points for their positions in each of the 4 tracks, and then finally at the end of the game, judges award bonus points for completing certain objectives, like having beer recipes with certain number and type of flavor, and surprise, surprise, the player with the most points wins. One of my favorite things about this game is that it feels really robust and it has a lot of features, but in truth, it's quite simple and intuitive. There are a lot of conveniences in this game that make it approachable while never making it feel dumbed down. Take, for example, the ingredients. I love that there's one universal ingredient token that so long as it's in one of the slots for your beer recipes, it's like saying to the world, yo dog, you got everything you need in order to brew. And yeah, I get it, resource conversion can be fun, but this game understands that the heart of its fun is in things like the synergies that come out of equipping flavors onto your different beer recipes. It's in the meaty decisions that come out of deciding when you're going to take what action and sequencing together successive individual simple actions, in deciding what you're going to trade with your opponents, in jockeying for position over these different tracks in the Summerfest and Oktoberfest. Another great example is how brewing makes your garage dirty. I love the elegance of just flipping your ingredient token over into the Yo Garage is Gross token, and the push and pull that comes from deciding between frequency of production and the value of producing the best beer possible. And speaking of all of these actions, for this being a game where your actions are primarily dictated by dice, there are a ton of ways to mitigate your rolls and feel empowered while still forced to make some tough choices. Between the open trading, the ability to pay money to reroll dice, or even take a bonus wild action, or even discarding your dice to gain a few bucks, you have lots of options, but all of it comes at a cost. Add in that each garage has a smidge of asymmetric powers, and you have a lot to work with in Homebrewers. And speaking of options, another strength of this game is its variability. For being a game that's so approachable, there are a lot of parts that can change from game to game that keep it fresher than that beer that your buddies are making in their dubiously sanitized basement. Take these action icons, for example, that correspond to the calendar action result. They have a top row and a bottom row action, where the top row is the basic bonus and the bottom row is a more advanced bonus that you can take if you spend an extra $2 while taking the action. These are randomly distributed at the beginning of the game to the different months, except for the scoring months, which have their own action icons tied specifically to those months. Then there are these tiles, which cover up the different stages of the quality track thingies, changing what bonuses you're going to gain for which brew at which point each game. And lastly, the judges themselves, who are drawn randomly at the start of a game, aside from the judge who's always available and gives you twice as many points as your lowest level on your lowest quality track. In a lot of games, this would feel overwhelming, but here it capitalizes on the simple iconography and the intuitive nature of the game in order to make these dynamic shifts from game to game while still keeping the core flow. Overall, it's a great mid-weight game with a well-integrated theme and a lot of gameplay features normally reserved for more heavy-duty games. Though hitting this level of approachability may mean sacrificing some complexity, the end result is a super solid game that works well for families and gamers alike. My only real criticisms of the game are that while the actions are individually simple, you have a lot of options and timing matters, which means that certain types of players who hate taking suboptimal turns can get a little bit lost in the spiderwebs, though usually the game goes pretty darn fast. Also, speaking of timing, turn order matters a lot in this game, since a player reaching the top of a flavor track locks the highest position, but the person going last can better react to everyone else's placements and make some really critical plays during scoring rounds. In truth, these are really cool features, but I wish there were a better way of determining turn order than just passing the admittedly adorable first player tumbler token to the left. I really enjoy Homebrewers. It's a game that feels big and dynamic, while at the same time it has a lot of innovations that aren't so much as completely new ideas as they are interesting ways of making these heavier concepts work within an approachable package. It's got fun gameplay, it's got a unique theme, it has interesting synergies like oyster milk ale, yum, and it has a lot of player interaction based around the trading of dice and competition without ever going so far as direct conflict. And if you like all of those things, I think you're going to dig Homebrewers too. Alright, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any questions about anything that we covered in the review today, then let me know in the comments below and I'll be sure to answer you. Also, once the retail edition comes out, I'll be doing an addendum review covering anything that's been updated in that retail edition with the final components and rules and everything. And so yeah, that's it. Thank you so much again for watching. I've been Jack for the Cardboard Herald. If you enjoyed this video, we have all kinds of other reviews, interviews, and recommendations via writing, podcasts, and video here on our channel and website cardboardherald.com. Our content is audience supported, so if you want to show your support, please visit our Patreon. Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Cardboard Herald.